G'day guys, Rukshan here. Thanks for joining me for the news vlog. I hope you're having an awesome day. First up, some good news to start with today, and that is that RMIT Fact Lab has been scrapped by ABC. So let's have a look at this. This is the fact checkers in Australia. Embarrassing scandal. ABC axes lucrative contract with disgraced RMIT fact checking unit. This is from Jack Houghton of Sky News. A disgraced fact-checking operation run by RMIT University has lost a major contract with the ABC, cutting ties with the operation after a 7-year partnership. Taxpayers forked out more than $670,000 to the university through the ABC, a funding arrangement which has been described as wasteful and inappropriate by political figures. RMIT Fact Lab was suspended by Meta after an investigation by Sky News Australia, dubbed the Fact Check Files, revealed a strict code of principles was likely not being followed. Fact checkers at RMIT worked alongside the national broadcaster in a partnership project known as RMIT ABC Fact Check and shared resourcing with the RMIT Fact Lab group. Now, I just want to take some credit for this as well. If you've been following me for the last couple of years, especially last year, you would have noticed that I paid close attention to RMIT Fact Lab and their erroneous fact checks and the fact that they didn't have this certification, as other people had pointed out as well, but I also followed up on this. And then I was also able to obtain through court requests documents of the contract between RMIT and Meta, which disclosed that they were getting paid per fact check, astronomical amounts of money. And there were all types of problems I discovered during that period of time, which, made some leeway into these other investigations that were happening as well into RMIT Fact Lab at the time. And we saw it during the Voice to Parliament, we saw it during COVID era, this woke university with these far left progressives really using RMIT Fact Lab via this contract, especially with the ABC for legitimacy, as a means to control speech, to control, Facebook posts were shutting down, especially on Facebook. They were completely wiping out accounts sometimes, or not in that direct sense, but by giving people strikes against their names for this ridiculous claims of misinformation. And then, Avi Yemini from Rebel News also took RMIT to court around this thing. So all that is a part of this story. But it's good to see that this guy here, Russell Skelton, director of the RMIT Fact Lab, is now false, according to this. Both units were run by fact-checking director Russell Skelton, who was caught campaigning in favor of the Voice referendum on social media, while his team used the position to police the debate and censor views against the proposition. RMIT was also operating without accreditation from a body known as the International Fact-Checking Network, which oversees the global fact-checking ecosystem Meta uses to police platforms Facebook and Instagram. Now, when we looked into the International Fact-Checking Network, they had all types of links to foreign governments, all types of links to bodies linked to Soros Foundation groups, for instance. Very dodgy institutions. This whole scheme was very shady. So it's good to see that, at least in this instance, ABC has cut this contract with this shady organization, in my opinion, RMIT Fact Lab. But ABC is now starting their own little ABC Verify. So if you've been following me as well, I might have talked in the past about BBC Verify, where this organization's attempt to do these fact checking. And ABC was already doing some fact checking as well, but now they've got this ABC Verify internal fact checking unit. But we will be keeping a close eye on ABC as well, and ensuring that they are not doing, progressive style, far left, woke agenda fact checks to control debates. Next story, guys, is from the UK, from BBC. Shamima Begum loses bid to regain UK citizenship. Here's this individual here. Shamina Begum has lost an appeal against a decision to revoke her UK citizenship. The Court of Appeal ruling means the 24-year-old must remain in Syria. The government stripped her citizenship of national security grounds in 2019. Miss Begum left London 9 years ago, aged 15, to travel to Syria and join the Islamic State group, or IS. The ruling by 3 appeal judges was unanimous. It could still be challenged in the Supreme Court by Miss Begum. Her solicitor Daniel Firma said that her legal team was not going to stop fighting until she gets justice, until she is safely back home. However, the judges who wholly dismissed all of Miss Begum's arguments, a highly significant rejection that could affect her ability to gain a full appeal at the Supreme Court. Lady Chief Justice Baroness Carr said, it could be argued the decision in Miss Begum's case was harsh. It could also be argued that Miss Begum is author of her own misfortune. But it is not for this court to agree or disagree with either point of view. Our only task is to assess whether the deprivation decision was unlawful. We have concluded it was not, and the appeal is dismissed. So this was the UK government, whatever, got rid of her citizenship, and denied her the right to be a citizen of the UK, and she's in Syria. I believe last I checked was at a refugee camp. I'm not sure if that's changed since now, but she went along to this ISIS during that time, especially. Now they're trying to say that she was potentially trafficked and she didn't know what she was doing, but there's so much evidence which points in the other direction. And I'm a bit torn on people's citizenship being removed. But if you are a naturalized individual in a country and then you do some type of treachery, or you go fight in a foreign army against your own country, or whatever it is, or you go join a terrorist organization, and legitimately get involved in acts of terrorism, for instance, then revoking citizenship might be at play. It's got to meet a very high threshold, and I believe in this individual's case, at least the court has found that threshold was met. Let me know what you think. Do you think these ISIS brides should have their citizenship revoked? Do you think people that left the country to go fight for ISIS should have their citizenship revoked? I know we've dealt with some issues like that in Australia as well, so I'd love to get your opinions and thoughts on that. Now, this one is for our e-safety commissioner, this news story, so I hope Julie Imam Grant, who I've talked about previously, is listening to me while I'm reading this article, because I expect to see the e-safety commissioner in Australia make some action around this. Let's have a read. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Meta staff found Instagram subscription tool enabled child exploitation. The company pressed ahead anyway. Bloody Zuckerberg. Meta platform safety staff warned last year the new paid subscription tools on Facebook and Instagram were being misused by adults seeking to profit from exploiting their own children. Sick parents. Two teams inside Meta raised alarms in internal reports after finding that hundreds of what the company calls parent-managed minor accounts were using the subscription feature to sell exclusive content not available to non-paying followers. The content, often featuring young girls in bikinis and leotards, was sold to an audience that was overwhelmingly male and often overt about sexual interest in children to comments on posts where they were left. So really, there's another article you can read that's behind the paywall. You can also find this article on the New York Post if you want to read more into it. Meta allowed parents to exploit their kids by having pedophiles pay to see them in bikinis on Instagram. I don't think I have to read any more into that. But literally, there's some parents that were exploiting their children by using Meta and Instagram's features, mainly their subscription features, to sell content of their own children in sexually compromising outfits or positions or whatever to adults. And it was obvious that was happening because on those comments that was being viewed by the Facebook safety team or Instagram safety team, you could tell that this is what was happening just via the comments and via the way that these children were being promoted and exploited by their parents. It's sick, twisted stuff. And we've seen Julie Imam Grant from the e-safety office go after Elon Musk for things that never really happened at Twitter, especially after all the action that they've taken against these type of issues on Twitter since he took over. And she did that based on merely the fact that Elon Musk took over Twitter and renamed it to X, and she had a big hissy fit. But you're seeing here, Instagram and Meta have this massive problem. And this is not the first time. We had a Stanford University report last year as well into Instagram and how they've enabled exploitation of children through certain various comments and certain system that pedophiles built around it. Sick stuff. And Elon Musk actually raised a very important point on all of this because he shared this article out as well. And he said, companies like Disney and the New York Times continues to share, promote their ads on these platforms like Facebook and Instagram. Now, Disney and New York Times, all these companies made a big deal against Elon Musk, saying that he's not doing enough to stop child exploitation on his platform, so we're going to pull all the ads, right? They did something like this. But you're seeing here, in Meta's instance, they're still happy to run ads on this network where their safety teams are saying this is happening and they're not taking action. Very disturbing to read. Next story, guys, is just a bit of an update on the Trump cases that are happening in the US, namely in Georgia. Remember, we're talking about Big Fannie Willis, the DA or whatever in Fulton County, and she's in there with her partner. It's a massive court drama. All right, it's a massive court drama, Days of Our Lives. I'm not going to go into it, but let me read this article to show you where it's at right now, because it seems like she has perjured herself in court now multiple times. Her and Nathan Wade, the prosecutor that she put onto this Trump case, this RICO case that they have perjured themselves most likely multiple times by lying about their relationship and when their relationship started. So let me read this and you'll get a better idea of what I'm saying. This is from the BBC. Trump filing says phone records contradict Fulton County prosecutor Fani Willis's timeline of affair. Donald Trump's legal team says mobile phone data suggests two prosecutors investigating him did not tell the truth about their relationship. The former president is trying to get Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis disqualified from the case. His lawyer says phone records indicate Miss Willis misrepresented the timeline of her affair with another prosecutor. The district attorney's office denied the allegation and said the data was being misrepresented. Mr. Trump co-defendants are accused of attempting to interfere with the 2020 presidential election in Georgia. Ooh. But they are arguing that Miss Willis' relationship with Nathan Wade, a prosecutor she hired into the case, amounted to a financial conflict of interest. In a hearing earlier this month, both Miss Willis and Mr. Wade testified that their affair did not begin until early 2022, only after Mr. Wade was appointed. Now, all of this came out because Mr. Wade having a divorce filing with his wife, that he was having an affair with this lady during that time. This is what I mean, Days of Our Life stuff. But these new phone records indicate, right, get this, they're saying that there's no relationship between them prior to this, but the phone records show 2,000 calls and nearly 12,000 phone interactions, such as voice calls and text messages, over an 11-month period in 2021. Now think about people that you know in your life. Do you think that you interact with them this much? The person that you might interact with this much might be your partner, your wife, your girlfriend, or maybe even your mistress, but definitely very unlikely with a work colleague that you were not really meant to be communicating with this much. You can maybe account for this communication after he was appointed to be the prosecutor on the Trump thing. But as they were not working on these cases together before that, prior, is what she's saying, it amounts to some very interesting data statistics that we're getting from these cell towers related to these two. And sometimes his phone is actually in the vicinity of her house in the late hours of the night into the early hours of the morning. And then when she goes home, the data reveals that she receives messages from him around 4 a.m. after being in the area of her house around 3 a.m. So what do you think was happening between Big Fani Willis and Mr. Wade? We don't have to be geniuses to figure this out. They're still trying to run protection over this, the people that are supporting her, and of course everyone's got Trump derangement syndrome. But the facts, especially the data now, points a very different picture. I'll be very surprised, especially considering this information that's coming out, which is somewhat irrefutable, that she will not be found guilty of perjury. The only reason she wouldn't be found is because you have a judge who's afraid. You have to remember this is not just anyone. This is the district attorney of Fulton County. So for that reason, the judge who's working in, I believe, Fulton County as well, might take issue with, doing a adverse ruling against her, because he's got to be working there for, the rest of his life, whatever. So there's those type of issues, but definitely this lady is corrupt, in my opinion. And guys, just to end it off with on a good note, well, not a good note, but I just wanted to show you this meme because I thought it was hilarious. This is from Wall Street Silver. He shared, I don't know who's made the original. Top, you are at the airport. Bottom, millions of randomly fully grown men crossing the US-Mexico border who are undocumented and illegal. How does this make any sense? So this is the airport. You have at the top, you got normal checks that you get when you go through the airport. They do the passport checks, they go through your luggage, they scan your body, and then below you got the southern border, and you just got millions maybe over the course of the last few years, at least tens of thousands over the last few months of illegals streaming across the border without any type of check whatsoever. Right? No passport checks, no security checks, none of these things are happening. They're just streaming across the border into the US. And recently in Australia, we've also been discussing our border security. Same thing, right? People just coming in unvetted, unchecked across into the country. Now, Australia is a bit more strict, and we've at least shipped off the illegals to the separate island for processing. And hopefully we are tough on these type of individuals that try to break the system and come illegally, especially if they're not legitimate asylum seekers and they are more so trying to find a legal route to get into this country, because there are plenty of people on waiting lists and trying to get into Australia legitimately that get put through the process that you're seeing here at the airport by the administrative, processes that we have in place. It's very strict. We've had stories in Australia of families, from parts of the island or the UK that have lived here for, 10, 15 years or whatever, and because of some processing issues with their visas or whatever, they're getting sent back because they're illegal, right? This is the kind of systems that we have in place, and this is what this meme, I believe, represents. So you can find that on Wall Street Silver. I think it's very much emphasizes the clown world that we do live in currently. All right, guys, hope you've enjoyed my news vlog for today. If you're enjoying my work, you can follow me on YouTube at The Real Rukshan. Hit that subscribe button. You can also hit the notification bell and you get notifications as I upload. You can also find me on X, formerly Twitter, as well as Instagram, Rumble, Odyssey, and Facebook at The Real Rukshan. See you guys next time.